Good morning, PC Doodles. I have no idea how many of you are even up at this time, which is fine. Mostly, I'm doing this live because the picture quality is actually better on my live videos than it is on the ones I upload because I'm still having issues uploading to YouTube. So live is easier, so live is what it is. Last night, I was up a lot of the night because my daughter, hope to God she's not getting sick, but she was up coughing and crying out for mama, which she never does. She always sleeps like 12 hours straight. And so that's kind of alarming because we're going to see a Theory of a Dead Man concert in 2 days. She's going to grandma's overnight for her first time. And so I'm up. I was up at 5 o'clock and I'm up. Last night I did a live Facebook video and I kind of got into this topic a little bit, and I said that I wanted to do a YouTube video on it. Selfishly enough, it's more for me than for you guys, if that makes any sense. Because I don't feel like it's something to where I owe you guys an explanation. Partially I do. You know, there's 11,000 of you that come here to watch witchy videos. And so, clove and minty. Oh, thanks, Autumn. So partially I do kind of feel like you should know what my thoughts are as far as my spiritual practice, but also because one of the things that helps me a ton with reeling through my own thoughts is saying them out loud. So whether that's saying things in a shower out loud and talking to myself, I talk to myself all the time, or getting onto YouTube and kind of explaining it to you guys. It helps me. Oh my God. Oh no, Norby's light just burned out. Fuck. Anyway, so this is kind of what that video is me explaining my newfound thoughts on my spirituality and kind of where I go from here. I feel like, well, I hope that I'm definitely different now as far as my spiritual practice than what I was when I was 13 and I just found out that witches were real. And that's good. Growth and change is important because otherwise you just sit stagnant, and what does that do for you? Absolutely nothing. So, I do know that a lot of my thoughts and a lot of my beliefs from my little 13-year-old self are different now. Back then I was all books. Everything that I found was from a book. And so I was heavily into the god and goddess and talking to them and doing ritual and spell work and all of that. And now all of that has changed immensely. I don't talk to a god and goddess. My belief is more universal based, as opposed to having two beings that you do ritual for, or that you communicate with, or that you bring into your practice. For me, it's more speaking to the universe in general. I don't really relate to the god and goddess aspect of it anymore. One of the other things is, the thing that has actually stayed and that has kept me pretty concrete in a spiritual practice at all has been the fox, and has been meeting the fox and talking with the fox. And, that power animal really has helped me see a lot and to kind of start to find my own truth. It's still dug way deep down in there, but it's coming out slowly. How about you guys take a shot every time I say I'm a very ummy person, and I apologize for that. So one of the things that that really helped me to recognize that I was starting to go through this kind of change, that really solidified it, is when I built my clay station downstairs. And I explained that in my previous video, where I think it was called "Where Did My Altar Go?" or "My Altar's Gone" or something. But I got rid of my altar. I've had a permanent altar space for 14 years. And so 14 years I've had a permanent altar space, whether that's been in my bedroom closet when I was 13, or, my spare bedroom when I had an apartment, or my dresser once we had our baby girl, or now down to my very own specialized witchy room. And I allowed myself to get rid of it. And people have said, Piper, people have said, oh, where did you put it? Where is it at? Well, it's turned back into a dresser. It's being used to hold my printer downstairs and to hold Aria's artwork. I've allowed myself to come to the truth that I don't like permanent altars. I don't need that permanent space. Now, I like having my little, my little altars throughout the house. I have one in my kitchen. I have one in my bedroom for the fox. I do have that one downstairs that are just like little, when you walk by them, you just get that feeling, or that they embody the representation of something. But I allowed myself to get rid of it because I don't use one, and it gave me the oogies. I didn't like the feeling of it. I didn't like, and I felt that way for a while. I just didn't like my witchy room. And people were like, "Oh, you have a demon. You have a ghost. You have some other dark bullshit down in that room." No, I didn't. I'm a pretty sensitive person when it comes to otherworldly goodness, and if there was something dark down in that room, I'm pretty sure I would be able to tell. But one of the things that I think was giving off that vibe was that I was creating a purpose in that room that wasn't my soul's purpose. I was creating a space that deep down I didn't want, that I didn't need. It was basically wasted space. So now that I have gotten rid of that altar and turned it into a clay station for my crafty stuff, I've been down there more in the past couple weeks than I have been since we moved in March, for the last 9 months. And it's lightened up the space because there's something down there that I'm actually going to utilize. I don't call it my witchy room anymore. I call it my library, or I call it my clay room. Even during the summer when it was nice, and I would go downstairs and I would always grab things out of that room and take them up here and do them at the kitchen table, or do them outside, or whatever. But I would always go down and grab stuff. It was just kind of like a storage room where I would keep my witchy stuff. But whenever I tried to do witchy things in there, it just never worked. It never felt right. It never felt good. The energy in that place was lacking. But if I would, come up here and do something at the kitchen table, or, if I would go outside and, mix some incense and light it out there, I just felt so much better. So I've been allowing myself to kind of get rid of that shit that I don't need. I've always been a person that has read a shit ton of books about witchcraft, but has never implemented almost any of it. Except when I was younger, that's where I got, most of that stuff from. But because none of it ever felt right. One of the fleeting passing thoughts that I've had in the last couple months is witchcraft even in my radar? Is it even something that's the word that I had for it's gone, but basically, is it even a descriptor for myself anymore, is to call myself a witch? Because I mean, I'm really, when people call themselves witches, you kind of have to assume that they live the life of one. You can't just say that, like when Ari was born, my mother got to call herself a grandma because magically, boom, one day she was a grandma. You can't just wake up one day and call yourself a witch because you decided to study the craft. There's years of dedication and learning and practicing and weaving that craft into your everyday life. And so, can I call myself a witch anymore? Not really. I don't think so. It kind of dumbs the word down for all of the people that are witches. So, and I've also, there's other things that I've allowed myself. Like, one of the things is that there are a ton of people that, when they tell you to ground yourself, put your feet flat on the floor, go stand outside, go practice earthing. The earth doesn't ground me. The element of earth is not a grounding thing for me. Fire is grounding for me. Lighting a candle, sitting out at the bonfire, that the smoke from incense, whether you want to call that fire or air, is kind of up to you. But if I see smoke, it to me, it relates to fire. So, aromatherapy is another one. Having my diffuser going right now and having that woodsy smell of bergamot and sandalwood flowing through my house is very grounding and very calming. Burning a sandalwood incense stick is very calming and grounding, and it really puts me in that space that I love to be in my head. But the earth isn't grounding to me, so I'm gonna stop trying to ground myself with earth when I know that that's not the element for me. I really have to allow myself to live my own truths and to do what works for me, because guess what? The only person that's losing in this is myself. If I'm outside and I'm like, ooh, look at me, Instagram, I'm out with my bare feet in the grass because I'm grounding. Well, guess what? All I'm doing is standing outside and taking an Instagram picture of my feet in the grass, and then I'm going to go inside and probably sit on the couch because it's not actually grounding for me. It's not actually, do I love being outside? Absolutely. I love the smell of spring. I love the feel of summer. I love, I love trees. But I just don't get the feeling of that I'm supposed to get from earth like other people do. So I'm going to allow myself that. There are other things that were very important to me in the past that have no place in my current anything. Spellcraft. I don't do much as far as spells go. I can't tell you the last time I did a spell. I just don't do them. They just don't hold any importance to me. I do Reiki. I'll send Reiki out, and that's kind of what's taken the place of spell work. I talk a ton to my guides, namely my fox, because he's the one that I feel the most connection to. And that is really what has helped me to see a lot of it. And a lot of what's going on is to really, and to even keep me in any kind of spiritual anything, has been the fox, and has been him helping me to understand, hey, this is all okay. You are a changing person. You have growth, and maybe sometime next year all this shit is going to be important to me again, but right now it's not, and I'm going to allow that. Divination, not really important to me. Do I like pulling tarot cards here and there? Absolutely, but it's not something that I do a ton of. Ritual work, not something I do a ton of, not something that's super important to me. When the full moon comes out, I feel it. I don't sleep for 3 nights. It's fantastic. But I do love to go outside, and I love to commune with that energy that the moon embodies. You know, people go outside and they talk to the goddess and the moon. I go outside and I talk to, you know, the universal energies that embodies the moon, I guess. But I do love going out and enjoying a full moon. You know, that's kind of my ritual. It's not, you know, I don't put together a full elaborate anything. Sometimes I will, maybe once or twice a year. But it's only if I feel like doing it. I'm not going to do something that isn't important and that I don't feel like doing, because that just takes the magic out of it. It really does. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm sitting currently. You know, I don't want people going, oh my God, Krista has a witchy YouTube channel. What is the fate of her channel? I don't know. You know, it's not saying that there isn't going to be, you know, I have a ton of witchy knowledge. It's just currently in my current life, in my current state, I have a lot of other things that are more important. And so I'm just keeping the things that are important and getting rid of the things that are not. The things that I feel like I needed to have. You know, I need to have an altar to be a witch. I need to have a witchy herbal cabinet. I need to have a ton of tarot decks. I need to have a shit ton of crystals. I need. And I don't need them. I don't. And I have also a ton of people, and this is not meant to be rude. It's really not, but I have a ton of people that constantly ask me for videos on this subject or that subject. I'm not super knowledgeable in a ton of different topics. And my spiritual journey is honestly my own. And so I feel like I don't really have anything to teach some of you. Like I don't, you know, people are like, oh, can you do a video on astral projection? No, I can't. I don't have familiarity with astral projection. I don't astral project. I don't try to astral project. It's not something that's on my radar, so I really can't do a video about it. But people think, you know, you're on YouTube, you have 11,000 subscribers, maybe, you know, you should be like the one all be all knowledgeable witch and have all of this shit and you can do a video on wherever. No, I can't. No, I can't. And you know, in the upcoming months, if there's, you know, I'm not gonna force myself to put out a video talking about spell work or talking about, you know, any of that stuff when it's not anything that I'm currently doing. You know, I really appreciate your comments. You know, I have been reading them. You know, there's a lot of people that have said, you know, that they respect me for putting it out there, because it is a hard thing to face. And that's why, you know, the last couple of videos, I'm like, there is something I kind of have to talk to you about, and I'm just not ready, because I wasn't ready for me to say it out loud. You know, the past 14 years of my life, it's been more than 14, have been this path, have been witchcraft and paganism. And when I was younger, Wicca, and I have an entire third of my bookshelf downstairs full of this stuff, and an entire room dedicated to it, and a whole YouTube following. And I'm like, no, I have to keep it. Why keep going with something that's not currently bringing you any kind of happiness or growth? Who's benefiting out of that? Nobody. So that's kind of what I got going on. You know, some spiritual ramblings. You know, it's not like, you know, I'm allowing myself to feel what I want to feel and to do what I want to do, and, you know, to be in that magical place when I want to be in it. And when I'm not in it, then I'm not going to stress about it, and I'm not going to feel like I have to push myself to be in that spot that I don't want to be in. So anyways, thank you guys very much. Those of you that, no, it's, you know, Monica just said that she needed to hear this because she's packed away a lot of her pagan type things, and you know, there is a shift. yeah, and I kind of talked with Crystal, Miss Canadian Witch, about it last night, and her and I have been chit chatting a little bit, and there's a big shift, huge shift, and I felt it. I felt like it kicked in after we moved into this house, because buying and moving into a house is a huge change, and I feel like a ton of stuff in me kind of shifted, and I've been looking and searching and trying to find the meaning behind what I'm missing and what I've got going on, and in reality, I think it's just I had to sneeze and then I couldn't, and my nose is dying. But I feel like what it is that I just am trying to push myself to do things and to be somebody that's not really working for me anymore. I'm I had my kid, and then we moved, and there's just a bunch of change and a bunch of shifts, and the shift is still ongoing and it's still progressing, but I'm finally to a point to where I can slowly start allowing myself to do away with stuff that I don't really care. I've walked into witchy shops lately, and do you remember the last time I actually bought anything other than sandalwood? Because none of it appeals to me. I walk in and I love the scent. I love the ambiance, which is the bergamot and sandalwood that I have burning right now gives me that smell and that scent that I yearn for. But I don't want any of the physical stuff. I don't want to clutter more of my room with stuff that I'm not going to use because I feel like I should have one of these things. So, all right. That was my spiritual ramblings for this early Friday morning. I hope that you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thank you for those of you that hung out and watched. I will see you all soon.